Story time about how my dad and I caught my boyfriend and his wife cheating on us in a tent. So luckily this is not my real mom. This is my stepmom. Her and my dad married a few years ago. So my family and my boyfriend's family are pretty close. My boyfriend's parents and my parents, aka my stepmom and my dad, get along with his parents. A little backstory on my stepmom. After my dad and my mom got divorced, he met her and they started dating pretty quickly. And they got married after only 5 months of having dated. So she becomes my stepmom, but she never really made any effort to get to know me. And I never really liked her. Like, she gave me a weird feeling. So my boyfriend and his family asked us to go on a camping trip one time. And my dad and I didn't really want to go because we never really go out. But my stepmom was super keen on going and she finally convinced us to go, so we ended up going. I mean, in the back of my mind, I was like, wait, why do you want to go to this camping trip so much? We finally get there and set up our camping tents. That's when my dear stepmom says that she doesn't want me and my boyfriend sleeping in the same tent just in case we try to do something. In other words, she didn't want him and I to do the dirty. Why? Because she was hoping that my boyfriend and her would do the dirty. Part 2 is up. Part 2 of how my dad and I caught my boyfriend and his wife doing the dirty, literally right next to us. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. So like I said in part 1, my stepmom said that my boyfriend and I couldn't sleep in the same tent because she didn't want us doing anything. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that during this time, my stepmom and my dad were always fighting and they were totally ignoring each other, so they couldn't sleep in the same tent. So basically, my dad and I were sleeping in the same tent. My stepmom was in another tent. We all go to bed and everyone's asleep. That's when I started hearing like the noise of plants ruffling. I ignored it and I went back to sleep. But then I heard some giggling coming from the tent. So I start walking over to my boyfriend's tent because that's where all the giggling is coming from. I was trying not to be heard, and as I started getting closer to the tent, I tripped over and fell into the tent. That's when both my stepmom and my boyfriend start screaming, and I see them sitting naked in the tent. That's when my boyfriend started lying, saying that she forgot something in his tent and that's why she was there. And it gets worse. My dad wakes up and hears all the commotion. He comes over to find his wife and my boyfriend naked. Part 3 of how my dad and I caught his wife and my boyfriend doing the dirty right next to us. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. So like I said in part 2, I fall into the tent and catch my boyfriend naked with my stepmom in it. That's when my dad comes over and sees them both naked. And my dad just started going nuts. He started yelling at my stepmom. My dad was so hurt. I was too, but I was also in shock from seeing my stepmom naked. I couldn't believe that my boyfriend had been hooking up with my stepmom all this time. And like right under my dad's and my nose. That's when my dad and I were just yelling at them. But then my dad called an Uber and we went home. He went straight to his lawyer and filed for divorce. But of course, my stepmom didn't want to sign the divorce papers, so it took really long for my dad to finally get divorced from that witch. Oh yeah, and I haven't spoken to my ex ever since the day I caught him naked with my stepmom. I never even got an apology, not one from him. Time for shoutouts. I will be choosing one person from my life to give a shout out to in my next story time. So today's shout out is for Cindy_the_tree. Another story time is coming the day after tomorrow. Bye. Story time of how my boyfriend found out I had an OnlyFans. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 9 months and he's really jealous. He knows I'm trying to save up money to start my own business, but he claims that he can't help me because he doesn't make enough money, but he's never told me how much he actually makes. By the way, I'm 19 and he's 22. So 3 weeks ago, I was talking to my friend who has an OnlyFans and she makes a lot of money, and she just said, why don't you just start an OnlyFans? I opened the account that same day, I uploaded some pictures and I started promoting it on Reddit. I made $1,000 that week. I work part-time at a shoe store and only make $10 an hour, so $1,000 for the first week was insane. I posted old bikini pics, so no nudity. I had no intention of telling my boyfriend because of how controlling and jealous he is. So basically, I would just log in through my phone browser and then log out and close the page on my phone. This way I knew that he would never be able to see anything. A few days ago, my boyfriend says, can I have your phone? I have a really bad feeling and I think I should check. I said, of course, you're not going to find anything. 2 minutes later, he shows me my phone browser history. Right there, plain to see, OnlyFans. I explained I needed the money and I didn't have help from anyone. Then he called my mom and told her. He called my job and told them. Then he threw my phone against the wall and broke it. He came back to my apartment yesterday and begged for forgiveness and asked if we could get back. I said yes, but I actually don't know what to do.